number 1 and number 2 in the Western Conference, and it would come down to the closing second, tied at 111.
James drives, step back, jumper wing left, no good, missed it at the horn. We're going to overtime.
Pretty on the realest in the city.
LeBron James had a decent look, so in Denver it would be off to overtime.
It was kind of like a boxing match, the two just like kind of wailing on each other.
Davis off the catch for 3. Bang, he got it. Anthony Davis.
No question who the best team in the West still is. I'll tell you what, the Western Conference is going to be a bloodbath the rest of the way.
This sound like Cardi to the stage.
It's taken almost half a season, but I'm ready for a hot take. LeBron James and the Lakers are good at basketball. There you go. It's Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. Woo! Woo! I mean, just calm the fire down. I'm bringing it this morning. Golic and Wingo presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the show. Penzo Performance Line. Jason fits in for Trey with Mike Golic Jr. The Lakers win 120-116 last night over the Nuggets, a team that, by the way, not getting a lot of love, but has been very good so far this season. It took everything the Lakers had. LeBron was spectacular. The Lakers win, and they go into the All-Star break, reminding us all that they're the best, and LeBron right now is just lights out.
Yeah, Denver is good. They're second in the conference right now, 4 behind the Lakers.
Breaking news, Lakers good. Also, Denver good.
You're welcome.
What if I told you the number 1 and 2 teams in the West were good?
Now, here's more breaking news. We can either be like professional athletes, which, or NBA players, which a lot of us will never be able to do, but a lot of us may have things in the house that we don't want in the house. Last night, I was in a dead sleep until all I heard was my wife laughing hysterically. And I look over and she is on FaceTime with Mike, Jake, and Sydney. And everybody is laughing hysterically. Why, Mike?
Because I had a bat in my house. I was more focused on your transition.
I have never seen such a large man so scared of a 3-inch rodent with wings. It was unbelievable.
It's a bat!
Yeah, it's a bat. It's not a rodent with wings. It's a bat.
It's not a vampire movie. He's not going for your
you
neck.
know of.
He's not going to suck out your blood. Okay? It's not an attack bat.
Well, so you want me to just hang out in the room with the bat while it flies around?
No. Try and get the bat out.
Try
and
guide the bat out. Come and walk a mile in my shoes for a second and try and guide this mostly blind creature out of the house in a meaningful way. I essentially had the entire back wall of my living room open for this thing to fly out of for an hour. And it decided, I'm good. I like to live in here.
Instead of capturing and get it out the window, you just tried to poke it to get it to fly and hope it went out.
I tried to poke it because I thought it was dead.
Did you put on any protective gear? Because first thing you do is you gear up.
Gear.
It's a bat.
It's a 3-inch mouse with wings.
Look, it's a bat. All right. How do we know? Is he Batman? We don't even know if he's Batman.
So what I'm thinking, I'm watching this and I'm thinking, okay, get like a Tupperware or something, go where it is and put it up against the wall and capture it
put it up against the top frame of my door that is both even and large enough to accommodate Tupperware.
Figure out a way.
You're a nightmare right now.
What you did is you got, all right, everybody out there, he got a tape measure.
At the suggestion of my brother because I knew it would provide comic relief. Walk with me in the content business for 5 seconds.
We did learn yesterday that your brother's not always the best at common sense things.
Yeah.
So,
he had a tape measure, one of those where you pull it out too far and it just bends and falls to the ground.
As opposed to the other tape measure that doesn't do that.
There's the one that's not.
I know, I have to attack you right now. It's my
attack
job.
Me? I wasn't the one looking foolish running from a 3-inch rodent.
Hey, listen, man, I wanted it out of the house. It was doing a lot of extra. You know how bats are?
Did you get it out of the house?
They're hard to track.
He doesn't know.
Wow.
Because he ran screaming out when it took flight, and then when he came back in the room, he couldn't find it anymore, but he had all the doors open. So the assumption is it flew out.
Not how it went. Yeah. When I went outside, I went around to get a different vantage point. By the time I got there, it had either flown out or burrowed somewhere that I can't see and now lives in my house.
Wrong. As you ran around and before you came back in because you knew we were videotaping it, you had to stop crying.
Wrong.
I'm just saying that if there's anything we've learned, now we know 2 things. I'm willing to make 2 bold statements this year. 1, you should absolutely just burn your house to the ground if you don't know where the bat is. Number 2, actually make sure the bats are safe. So that's the most important thing. So you should just move. Just move now.
That's what he was yelling. I'm going to burn this house to the ground.
But for the record, for my insurance company, I am not going to burn my house down, but it might catch on fire.
Well, you know who else was on fire? LeBron last night. win 120 to 116 over the Nuggets. LeBron not concerned about the first overall seed, but he did get his 12th triple-double of the season. That ties him with Luka Doncic for the NBA League. He scored 7 of his 33 in overtime. At this point, this matchup was sort of everything we thought it would be, right? You've got these two teams playing with a lot of fire because they're going into the All-Star break. We'll be in Chicago for that, by the way. They were playing with all of the fire, and LeBron came out and did what he did. So the Lakers are 10-5 against teams with better than 500 records. So right now, the Lakers got to feel great going into the break.
It's still amazing to think of what LeBron is doing. LeBron and Anthony Davis both played 42 minutes of the overtime game. They both played the most of anybody on. Oh, no, it was Murray played 44 minutes for the Nuggets. The dude is 35 years old. 35 years old and doing the things that he is still doing on the court.
Well, and so this is what begs the question, because obviously we have rarely, if ever, seen athletes the caliber of LeBron James, and you combine what he is naturally with all of the modern ways that athletes take care of their body. And LeBron specifically, he's probably the biggest outlier in all of this in the way that he takes care of himself. But is it going to be enough? Like when we talk about this team and him having to play those amount of minutes in the regular season when it comes to the postseason versus a team like the Clippers, who is going the full opposite route right now and may not be lighting it up the regular season, but we know what Kawhi Leonard did last year with a similar model. We know how deep they are, and especially defensively, how many bodies they're going to be able to throw at LeBron. You just wonder if this is all well and good right now, but will that age, will that attrition catch up to them in the time of year where we know it matters most?
Well, two things. First, we didn't get the normal LeBron meltdown in January that we normally get.
I know.
They're the best team in the West.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously the tragedy that went on there.
Yeah. I can say not what when I talk about the LeBron about the LeBron meltdown, it's usually some sort of frustration over a losing streak or anything like that.
And the other thing I'll say is, and LeBron did say he doesn't care about the number one seed right now. They're the first seed, 4 games over Denver and 4.5 over the Clippers. Anybody here right now, 7-game series, Clippers Lakers? Who you taking?
Clippers.
In the postseason, probably the Clippers.
That's what I mean. Yeah, postseason.
Like just because I mean, we see every year the way it changes when you've got a series to game plan defensively. I mean, the stark contrast in the Eastern Conference last year of Giannis in the regular season and then the league MVP when you had a chance to game plan for him. And obviously, LeBron James is Giannis and then some in certain regards because he's got such a Rolodex of information and skill, but man, it just seems like a time of year where defense tends to matter so much.
And they
more.
can throw so many people at LeBron.
1,000%. I think the other thing for me is, as good as the Lakers have been this year, the one unexpected part to me is I thought Kyle Kuzma was going to take a big step forward and sort of turn into their third star this year.
Kind of do what Brandon Ingram did on his way out in New Orleans.
That to me was, I felt like a reasonable expectation. And Kuzma just has not been consistent, great. He hasn't stepped up. He hasn't really felt his way through this role. I think that's going to be a real problem in the playoffs because as much as they are great with Anthony Davis and LeBron James, I wanted them to go into the playoffs with a third person that you knew could just pick their shot.
We thought it was going to be Kuzma.
Well, you know what I will say, at least for them, is you're getting contributions from other places. I have been shocked by the Dwight Howard resurgence.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to count for something at some point, especially when we look at the matchups that are going to challenge them. Certainly, the Clippers are a little more wing-based, but if you are able to get to a finals and are facing a team like Milwaukee, you will need length and athleticism, and the Lakers would be uniquely able, I think, to match up with a team as long, especially on the interior, as Milwaukee.
And you mentioned Dwight, by the way, last night. It's a perfect example. 14 points, 11 rebounds, just quietly continues to be dominant.
For a guy like that, when you talk about the playoffs, you have to get him that every now and then in that game, right? He has to come up big. He's not going to be the consistent guy, obviously, every game, but he needs to come up big every now and then.
Especially defensively.
Exactly. And, oh, by the way, welcome back to the slam dunk contest for Dwight Howard. They were asking him last night after the game, is Superman coming back? And he wasn't, obviously wasn't going to give out anything that he might be doing. But Dwight Howard, I still remember him on the cover of Sports Illustrated at 19 years old, coming to the league. I think it was the same year, the draft with Okafor from UConn.
Shoulders for days in that draft.
Unbelievable. But that 19-year-old on the cover of Sports Illustrated, all the magazines, really, and to where he is now and kind of the road he has taken, and now back in the slam dunk contest.
Golic and Wingo presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Insurance drivers who switch and save pay an average of $796 less per year. Call or click today. Find out if we could save you hundreds on your car insurance. We'll keep all eyes on the NBA. There were some other notes from last night. But coming up next, Myles Garrett is clear to return for the first game of next season. The question is, should he be? We'll discuss it after this.
Gary Reichard tweets in, I would rather go toe-to-toe with a 2-ton grizzly than deal with a bat. Elizabeth Ankerson says bats are not rodents. They're a completely separate order, and around here they can carry rabies, so caution is wise. You want to put your son in danger. Great parenting, yet again. 2 days in a row for you.
I'm going to find some other tweets, believe me. All right, being an athlete, which I thought my son was.
I got away. Listen, I dodged the bat.
Yeah, that's true. You cried, though. Being an athlete is a 24/7 thing. You still need to make good choices off the field.
2020, men are allowed to cry.
Like staying hydrated with Bolt 24 with antioxidant vitamins A and C, electrolyte from watermelon and sea salt, and no artificial sweeteners or flavors. Bolt 24 is all-day hydration for all-day athletes. You can use it to run from bats. Back after this, Golic and Wingo.
Golic and Wingo live from Chicago for the NBA All-Star Game.
Presented by Progressive Insurance at Harry Carey's Tavern, Navy Pier.
Great guests.